The spark that lit Paris on fire. She's ranked 37. She's never won a match at Roland Garros. She lost in the first round. What is there to celebrate? 12 words. Delivered casually, almost carelessly, as though they didn't matter. Aryna Sabalenka probably didn't think they would echo beyond that press room. But they did. Across the grounds on court 14, the Philippine flags were still being folded. Eala had just walked off the clay after a 6-4, 6-2 defeat to her friend Iva Jovic. Her tournament was over. Her ranking was about to slip. By every measurable standard, there was nothing left to say. Then she heard what the world #1 had said about her. The tennis world expected silence. It expected grace. It expected the quiet dignity of a first-round exit wrapped in polite post-match restraint. What it got instead shook the WTA to its foundation. Paris, France. May 26, 2026. Roland Garros Press Center. 5:17 p.m. Sabalenka sat behind a wall of microphones, diamond earrings catching the glare of 100 cameras. She had just dismantled her first-round opponent 6-4, 6-2, a routine win that barely tested her. The questions that followed were equally routine: her form, her fitness, her projected path through the draw. Then a reporter shifted the tone, asking about the early exits, the upsets, the players already heading home. Sabalenka shrugged. She's ranked 37. She's never won a match at Roland Garros. She lost in the first round. What is there to celebrate? A few laughs broke out. Some journalists nodded. The moment passed like a breeze through an open window. She never named Eala. She didn't have to. Everyone in that room knew exactly who she meant. The Filipino teenager who had turned heads from Melbourne to Madrid, whose matches crashed ticketing systems, whose presence on court transformed stadiums into seas of Philippine flags. The Eala effect was real, measurable, and apparently worth dismissing. What Sabalenka didn't know was that Eala was still in the building, and she heard every word. The locker room was nearly empty. The trainers had moved on. The tournament had already shifted its attention to the next match. Eala sat on a bench, ankle-wrapped, racket bag already packed, the silence of defeat still hanging in the air around her. Her mother Riza sat in the corner, hands clasped, lips moving in quiet prayer. Eala stood up. "Get my phone," she said. "I have something to say." She didn't post until 11:47 p.m. No photo, no video, just words, black text on a white background, stark and unsparing. Let me be clear. I have never asked for celebration. I have never asked for praise. But I will not sit quietly while someone dismisses the fight of every player outside the top 30. Her mother shifted in the bed beside her. Eala kept typing. Aryna Sabalenka has won Grand Slams. She has earned her place at the top of this sport. But there are parts of this tour she has never had to think about. She has never had to worry about paying her coach at the end of the month. She has never had to choose between a hotel room and a flight ticket. She has never stepped onto court knowing that a single loss could mean the end of her season, not just another week on the calendar. She paused. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Then she finished. The Eala effect is not about me. It is about the 40,000 fans who crashed the ticketing system. It is about the OFWs who spent their savings to wave their flags. It is about every player outside the top 50 who fights just to break even. She doesn't have to celebrate us, but she should not dismiss us. She pressed post at 11:48 p.m. By 11:50, the screenshots were already circulating. By midnight, the hashtag was trending in the Philippines, across France, and in every corner of the tennis world where underdog stories always find oxygen. May 27, 2026. 9:14 a.m. The Players' Lounge. Sabalenka scrolled through the headlines with a tightening jaw. Eala fires back at Sabalenka's dismissive comments. BBC. What is there to celebrate? Remark sparks global backlash. A fan account already at 2 million views. Eala just became the people's champion. Her coach leaned in. Aryna, let it go. You have a match today. She didn't look up. She called me out. You dismissed her. I was answering a question. I didn't name her. You didn't have to. Sabalenka stood and walked to the window. Paris spread out below her, the Eiffel Tower shimmering in the morning light, crowds already gathering for another day of matches. Somewhere across the grounds, Eala was likely packing her bags, preparing to leave. But she had already fired a shot the world number one couldn't simply absorb and move on from. Sabalenka pulled out her phone and typed quickly, "I have nothing against Alex Eala. I respect her fight. But respect is earned, not demanded. If she wants to be celebrated, she should focus on winning matches instead of writing manifestos." She pressed post. The tennis world gasped. Eala's reply came minutes later. "I never asked for celebration. I asked for respect. There is a difference. One day, when you're no longer playing, you'll understand." The exchange lasted less than an hour. The damage lasted much longer. Sabalenka won her second-round match that afternoon on Philippe Chatrier, 6-2, 6-3, clean and dominant as ever. But something in the air around her had shifted. Every celebration felt slightly heavier. The press conference that followed was anything but routine. "Do you regret what you said about Alex Eala?" She took a slow sip of water. "I don't regret what I said. I regret how it came out. I don't think we should celebrate losing. That's not the message we should send to young players." But Alex wasn't asking for celebration.
She was asking for respect.
And I respect her. I've said it before. A journalist pressed further. The financial gap on tour, players outside the top 50 struggling to afford coaching, the contrast with the diamonds Sabalenka wore to public appearances. Her jaw tightened. "I've earned what I have. I won't apologize for my success. But I've also spoken out about prize money. I've supported calls for change." A pause, then softer. "Alex and I were fine. We've practiced together. This is not a rivalry. It's a disagreement. And disagreements happen." The room exhaled. In her hotel room across Paris, Eala watched the press conference on her phone. Her expression didn't change. "She still doesn't get it," she said quietly. Her mother looked over. "Maybe someday." Eala gave a small, tired smile. Maybe. She boarded a flight back to Mallorca that evening. Her ranking slipped from 37 to 42. On paper, the French Open had given her nothing, no wins, no momentum, no advancement. The numbers told a story of failure. But numbers rarely tell the whole story. She had spoken for the invisible, for the players grinding outside the top 50, stretching every dollar, choosing between coaching fees and plane tickets. For the fans, the overseas workers, the ones who spent savings they didn't have just to wave a flag in the stands of Roland Garros. For everyone who had ever believed that fighting hard still meant something, even when the scoreboard said otherwise. Sabalenka moved into the third round. Her focus returned to the draw, to the trophy that had slipped from her grasp the year before. When reporters asked about Eala again, her answers grew shorter, more guarded. "I've said what I needed to say. I'm focused on my next match." But the question lingered. Unspoken, unavoidable, hanging in the air between every point. What happens when a player who has everything dismisses a player who has nothing? The answer wasn't found in the headlines, or the interviews, or the exchange of posts that lit up the internet for 48 hours. It was found in the flags that kept waving long after the matches ended, in the chants that echoed through the stands, in 40,000 people who once crashed a ticketing system just for the chance to watch a first-round loser fight until the final point. The Eala effect was never about winning. It was about connection. And no amount of dismissive words could sever that bond once it had been formed, between a player and a crowd, between effort and belief, between struggle and the simple, stubborn insistence that struggle deserves to be seen. Years from now, when Aryna Sabalenka looks back on everything, the Grand Slams, the rankings, the rivals she defeated, will she remember the players she dismissed? Or will she remember the first-round exit who reminded her that not every victory is written on a scoreboard? Some stories don't end with trophies.